This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not responsible for any inconsistencies of the team affirmative. Okalebo Joe says the team negative Namilyango College. Persons above the legally responsible age free from the adverse effects of social media?
Pardon?
Are persons above the legally responsible age free from the adverse effects of social media?
No, but they can handle the effects.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we know these effects cut across. They are all suffering from cyberbullying and they are all suffering from depressions, ladies and gentlemen, which means we shall not limit the access, but rather the content that everyone is taking in so that we save everyone. Isn't it? Don't you think it's wise to save everyone from the adverse effects of social media?
It depends.
Okay, we'll take a no. According to tellnetwork.com, do you know that all social media applications actually require users to be at least 13 years of age?
Which is above the legal responsible age.
Which means your policy is already working and it has failed. Do you know that social media applications such as Zoom and YouLearn are actually educative apps for our children?
They only worked in the COVID-19, which are out.
Thank you. Do you realize that? Has your policy worked anywhere?
I beg your pardon?
Has your policy worked anywhere?
It's just being implemented.
Thank you. Your first speaker said that parents will help you to limit social media to persons of a legally responsible age, isn't it? Yes. Do you realize that it's parents that buy phones to persons below the legally responsible age?
And how is that a crime?
Which means, members, if a parent buys you a phone, how can they limit you from accessing social media, ladies and gentlemen? Which means their criteria of limiting the access to social media is actually not going to work, ladies and gentlemen. Your first speaker talked of banning social media from people below the legal responsible age, isn't it?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you realize that banning and limiting are two different terms?
Yeah, it depends where you're applying.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, they are debating banning, not limiting. Limiting is simply giving boundaries to which someone should not exceed. But it does not mean that you're not going to use social media, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, they have presented a policy that is solving no problem. They have not presented any problem that is being solved by their policy, ladies and gentlemen. They talked of limiting social media from persons below the legal responsible age, but limiting is actually different from banning, as he has acknowledged it and he has accepted. They failed to present reasons as to why they are limiting social media to persons under the legal responsible age, ladies and gentlemen. They talked of non-compliance to our policy, but our policy of censorship has actually been tried and proven in countries like China, where they change the algorithm of TikTok and you can only access things that are educative and constructive via TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. They asked us about information that is going to be censored. We clearly talked of propaganda, misinformation, cyberbullying, and other cyber crimes. They raised the BOI and they say that things that work in China actually don't work in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, cars driven in China are working in Uganda, isn't it? Similar policies working in China will be used in Uganda and they will be successful, ladies and gentlemen. We are basing on capacity rebuilding of the social media instead of limiting access to social media, because we have actually realized that social media is useful to everyone in this country. And so, we are going to limit the information that we think is actually dangerous to our children, because the same information is dangerous to us, ladies and gentlemen. And as you may realize, if we limit social media, we shall actually limit the rate of expression, and we shall actually limit access to constructive and educative content on social media that our children are actually accessing, ladies and gentlemen. We asked them whether they will account for the period of COVID where we used social media to pass on education to our children, and they said nothing about it, ladies and gentlemen. This clearly shows that they are actually not accounting for such good users of social media. But if we use censorship, ladies and gentlemen, the good news is we are going to remove all the adverse effects, all the side effects. On such grounds, I would like to confirm that Team Negatives has won the debate. Thank you.
So, this House believes that access to social media should be limited to persons of a legally responsible age. Honorable, do you realize that banning people below the legally responsible age is a synonym to limiting people above the legally responsible age?
We are not banning people, we are banning access.
Do you realize that it is a synonym?
We are banning.
Thank you very much.
Banning access, not banning people.
Can people get information from dark sites? Can people access information from dark sites?
Dark sites are part of social media.
Yes, thank you
dark
very much.
Dark sites are not part of social media.
Honorable, do you believe that everyone in Uganda currently is allowed to access social media?
Exactly. And it's what we are pushing for.
Do you know that a person below the legal responsible age can't be accountable for his or her crimes?
Do they commit
Do
any
you know
crimes
that
on?
a person below the legal responsible
Have they committed any crime on social media?
How will you handle non-complicants to your
Account for their crimes on social media.
Honorable, please don't panic.
I'm not panicking.
Honorable, do you believe that advice can be accepted or not?
Pardon?
Do you believe that advice can be accepted or not?
Yes.
So what will you do to ensure that what will you do if everyone does not agree to the masterization?
This is a policy and no one goes against the
It is
law.
a policy which has loopholes that you're advocating for. Thank you very much, Honorable. Honorable, are we still in the COVID-19 era?
But we are having
If
continuous
no, why
phases
bring
of
back the COVID-19 era?
COVID-19.
We are in normal times. Thank you,
You
Honorable.
are misinformed. We are having continuous
You're
phases
less
of
informed. Thank you.
COVID-19.
You're debating about things you're less informed about. Thank you very much. Honorable, are you on team negative or affirmative?
Team negative.
Thank you very much. Honorable, this is the last question. Do you believe in the existence of cyber crimes?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe that effects of cyber crimes cut across from ages of 0 to above?
Exactly. That's why we are advocating for censorship.
Okay, Honorable. Again, I ask, can people get information from dark sites?
Pardon?
Can go and see it. My dear judges, what do you realize in this debate, my dear judge? First of all, Team Negative does not realize that dark sites are part of internet, my dear judge, although they are a part of social media, although they're not authorized. These are sites where a person can get information of which Team Negative is trying to limit. So you realize that their alternative, my dear judges, is having loopholes because we realize that people can still move behind the corridors and get information that Team Opposition is trying to limit. Second, Team Opposition does not tell us the information that they are clearly limiting, my dear judge. We don't know whether this information is good or bad. What do we look in Team Opposition's case? We are limiting access to social media, meaning these people from the age of 12 and above, my dear judges, can be able to withstand the effects of cybercrimes, my dear judge. People from 12 years and below, my dear judge, cannot be able to advance to contain these effects, my dear judge. Now, my dear judges, I ask them, do you know that a person below legally responsible age can't accountable for his or crimes? My dear judges, this is correct because they agree that the legal responsible age is solved, my dear judge. And we tell them that the legal responsible age is where a person can easily account for his or crimes. They are allowing access to everyone, my dear judge. So what about when these people of 0 to 11 years commit these crimes, my dear judges? What will they do about that one? They fail to tell us, my dear judge, meaning their case is still having a lot of loopholes, my dear judges. Judges, Team Negative comes out and tells us that they're going to do it just like how it was done in the COVID-19 era. This is a normal era, my dear judge. Right now, people can converse, talk face to face, my dear judge, without using social media, my dear judges. Instead, people right now are using social media to access every kind of information they want, of which you realize that this information is bad to some ages. That's why we are limiting the access to social media, my dear judge. My dear judges, we go on to ask these people that, do you know that a person can choose to accept advice or not, of which they're talking of mass sensitization. We all know that mass sensitization will include advising these people about the negative parts of accessing information, of accessing this information, my dear judge. But then what we realize, a person can choose to accept what you're talking about or refuse, meaning their case is having loopholes because even a child of 8 years, my dear judges, will decide that even if I do this, there's nothing they can do to me, my dear judges. Finally, to finish, Team Negative fails to understand that banning people below the legal responsible age is a synonym to today's debate. With all this said, I rest our case.
I'm proud that I got to witness such a high-skilled level of debate. I will begin by appreciating the professionalism and the clear understanding of the effect of cross-examination. If any side is watching, it can pick a leaf from either side of the speakers. Use of all the 2 minutes of cross-examination, asking close-ended questions, and drawing a correlation between questions asked and the case of your team. Thank you for that, cross-examiners. I'd also like to appreciate the fact that people were confident, people aired out their views, and the third speakers, thank you for having a keen eye for points of clash and argumentation. It has been lacking in the competition, but you have shown us the way to go. I will begin from points of criticism. Debaters, don't come and lie to us. There's a gentleman looking at me right now who said Article 89 of the Constitution. Section 89 of the Constitution. Wow. That whole chapter of the Constitution speaks about powers of Parliament. But I will pardon you on those grounds. Section 89 of the Constitution. You could cross-check. Maybe you have the 96 pages book of the Constitution and not the real one. Negators. It is the onus of team affirmative to set a parameter. It is your onus to clash it. Failure to clash that parameter, you cannot highlight something outside the parameter unless you have a case study. First Affirma didn't highlight any case study, and people come and speak of China. That is a gross disrespect of the rules of parameter. And I hope you noted that.
Yeah, thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to begin by thanking both teams. Really, for me, whenever it is a policy resolution, or irrespective of whether policy or value, any type of resolution, I'm always pleased whenever I see if both teams have really appreciated the specific type of resolution before them, and they are able to appreciate the requirements of each resolution that is before them. Yeah, just a point of correction. In the Constitution, we have articles and not sections. It's just a point of correction. Are we together? Yeah, but then I also appreciate the fact that people at this age, they are able to go and make research and know, because for example, there are many people that are in the field of practice, but they do not know that the criminal age in Uganda is 12 years. But if people at this age can come, irrespective that maybe stated it wrong, but you are able to appreciate the fact that it is the age of 12 at this age, I really credit you and thumbs up to you. Now, what is my issue here? Ladies and gentlemen, in every policy debate you are on, one of the reasons why the judges always tell speakers to listen to even when their opponents are speaking is because your opponent can ask you a question. In actual sense, they are using that question to delimit your submission, but in actual sense, you can use it to pave a way of coming to solidify on what you're advocating for. Now, in this resolution or in this debate, every team gave us its alternative or its policies. Now, team affirmative, for them they interpreted limit to mean ban. Next time, team negative, if you do not agree with the definition people give you, don't come at the end and delimit it. From the first speaker, come and give us that, yes, their interpretation may be this, but it's wrong. It's rather this. So from the start of the resolution, you considered to mean limit to mean ban. It was at the end that you came and were like, no, it is limit and not ban.
Thank you so much, my fellow judges. I think this is the best debate I've ever seen, to be sincere, as I've been in this competition. To be sincere, I want the whole to clap for these people. These people have displayed a maturity. These people have displayed what we call, you guys are the best, to be sincere. I know I'm the closer, whoever I say is the winner, but you guys have been the best. This has been a debate, and when I set such a resolution, I wanted to look in depth how people are juggling with their kind of content and strategy. And if you see how, right now, listen, if I'm to give marks of style, all of you have 20. All of you, from the first speaker affirmative to the last speaker negator. Because you have displayed what this competition needs. And that is what we need here. Now, to my marks, I give much in terms of the strategy part of it. The negators came and said, we are using censorship. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll agree with me, which was a very nice policy. I don't alter you. You'll agree with today, if you go and log on TikTok, you log on WhatsApp, when the head of TikTok was being questioned by the US Congress, he was asked, how do you promote the underage? He was like, listen, before you access TikTok, there is where they ask you, how old are you? Am I together? Are we together in that? They ask you, are you a robot or not? Have you ever encountered such questions? That is what we call censorship. And I saw that policy having in mind in the COVID-19 era. Most of us know what COVID-19 era brought to us. Kids could use laptops. Kids could use phones. But now the question is, we could not just limit them by parents being there forever, but we have to look at the company itself. How are the terms and conditions? The problem with us Africans, when we go to terms and conditions, we don't read them. Trust me, I know you guys, you always go and accept before reading the terms and what? Conditions. So that is the strategy I was looking for, and that's why my marks go to Team Negators for today. And is of that, Team Negators is not a unanimous judgment, is against 2, against 1. And we have an alter judgment, he gave also to Team Negators. Thank you. You have the day.